The Legend of Thach Sung. Once upon a time, there was a poor man and his wife named Thach Sung. They lived in a hut near the market, begging for food during the day. Life is really hard. But Thach Sung is a man with great business ambition and many tricks. For a long time, the couple fasted and saved, gradually gathering some capital and burying it in the corner of the house. That amount of money keeps growing and growing. But they still pretend to be poor and work as beggars. One day, Thach Sung came home late from begging. Along the riverbank he saw two buffaloes wade out of the water and collide to death. Guessing that it was a sign that there would be heavy rain and floods, so from then on, he dug up all the money he had buried and measured out all the rice. Sure enough, in August of that year, the sky caused a terrible flood, with water everywhere. Crops, houses, animals, etc. were all floating. Famine threatens everywhere. The price of rice increased from 1 to 10 times and then gradually increased to 100 times. Yet no one had rice to sell. Thach Sung waited until the people were exhausted before throwing out his stored rice. There were rich people who had to exchange him a bar of gold to get a measure of rice. Since they had capital, Thach Sung and his wife quit their jobs. They lend money with a capital of 5 or 7 interest rates. Then soon Thach Sung suddenly became a rich man. We buy so many cattle and buffaloes from fields and gardens, and those things keep increasing every year. But Thach Sung also has many other tricks to make money. In addition to collecting rice and lending at interest, he also did big business. Thach Sung and No. 39's merchant ships sailed around every seaport. Then he colluded with bandits in the area. Every business trip, not only does he get a share, but he also hides and consumes unjust things. Just like that, after 10 years, Thach Sung became a rich man. His money and treasure were like water. No one could compete with him. The heavenly protectors are only the size of a fingernail compared to him. With money in hand, Thach Sung can easily gain position. He offered the king so much gold, silver, jade and ivory that the king gave him the title of duke. He moved to the capital and built a palace, no different from the palaces of princes and princesses. In his palace, there were 100 concubines, each dressed in silk and brocade. As for him and his wife and children, they now live in such luxury that hardly anyone in the country, except the emperor, dares to compare. At that time, in the capital, there was a younger sister named Vong. He is also a famous rich man who has money from forests and seas and is the most squandering. One day, he met Thach Sung at a party full of kings and ministers. The story gradually turned into a showdown between the two sides. The Vong family said, "And quat, my family and No. 39's servants all wear silk clothes. There are so many of them that every year after Tet, we have to have a warehouse of silk fabric to make enough clothes for them." "And quat," Thach replied, "and quat, my family and No. 39's servants must have enough rice from an entire district to feed them." "And quat," Vong boasted again, "and quat, my kitchen has to use sugar instead of firewood." "And quat," but Thach interrupted, "and quat, to warm the rooms in the winter, we have to burn dozens of candles every day." And quat, hearing that neither side would accept the other, a guest agreed, "And quat, you two are arguing like that for nothing. We need to have evidence to believe it. One day, you two should show it off. Show us your wealth. Whoever loses must give 10 baskets of gold to the winning party. We will be witnesses. Both of them enthusiastically accepted. On the day of the match, several ministers came out to testify for them. Both parties signed the contract. The queen was worried that her younger brother would lose, so she sent a few cunning eunuchs to help. First, the king ordered stretched silk to be used as ceiling curtains in all his palaces. When it was Thach Sung and number 39's turn, he ordered all his houses to be covered with brocades and ceilings. Seeing this, the king ordered glass to replace tiles for all the houses and palaces of his palace, turning them into buildings shining like jade. But instead, Thach Sung ordered the stonemason to take jade and cut out slabs for the yard in front of the house. Everyone praised Thach Sung. The fight continues. Thach asked Vong, "Do you have coral in your house?" Vong held out a coral tree several meters high, and asked again, "Do you have a rhino at home?" Thach pouted and signaled a servant to bring out a jeweled rhino horn tea set. Both of them still show off a lot. No one has ever given up to the other. They in turn began to show off their strange objects. Thach Sung said, "I have a Thien Li horse that I bought from Thien Truck and can run 1,000 miles every day." People gathered together to watch and praise the precious horse. But Vong invited them to his garden to enjoy a deer with 2 heads. This time, Thach Sung was silent for a long time. There was a stir everywhere. Everyone thought that Thach Sung had run out of valuables. But suddenly he pulled out a pearl from the bag and said, "I have a pearl. Wearing it in the hot season makes it cool, wearing it in the cold season makes it warm. I and number 39 am sure it and number 39's unique in the world." Seeing this, the Vong family began to get confused. He intended to send someone to borrow the queen and number 39's wish-fulfilling pearl to fight against him, but at that moment a eunuch sat next to him and whispered a few words in his ear. Then people saw Vong turn to Thach Sung and axe, "Even though your house is very rich, it is full but not enough. I think your house is still lacking many things." Thach Sung was proud, "My family does not lack a single thing. If you point out one thing that I lack, I will lose to you not only 10 baskets of gold but also all of my inheritance. Besides, if I had enough, you would have to give me the same amount." Then, in a fit of extreme arrogance, Thach forced Vong to sign a new contract with him. When he finished signing, Vong told him, "Please bring it here quickly so we can see your warehouse." Hearing that, Thach Sung was startled. He already knew what the warehouse was. It is a broken clay pot that only poor families use to cook food. In the past, when he was young, he used to pick up that object from the trash pile and bring it back to clean it to store fish. But it and number 39's been a long time, so long ago, he no longer remembers that vile tool. Because his house now only uses furniture made of gold, silver, and worst of all, brass, so why bother storing such things? But he also tried to urge the servants to search in the corner of the garden and the kitchen to see what happened. "I searched everywhere but still could N and #39 pick up even a single piece of broken pot. it and number 39. True that Thach Sung and number 39's family could and hash 39 do anything to get those things. Then, a long time later, the witnesses acknowledged the victory on the Queen and number 39's side. Thach Sung did not expect to lose such a painful game. He was bitter when he saw all his assets, including his wife and children, maids, slaves, etc., all running into the hands of the Vong family. Sitting alone in the hut, he bit his tongue and regretted the business he had built with his own hands for so many years until now empty-handed. Then he died and turned into a termite, a lizard, also called a gecko. Termites sometimes click their tongues and cry out and quat, Thach Thach and quat. Nowadays, people still have a proverb. Thach Sung still lacks a batch of warehouse, meaning that in this world it is difficult for anyone to be completely full. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.